If your job disappeared by 30%, would you notice? Not the title, not your salary, just the work itself. Because for many people, that process may have already started. Consider a typical workday. You write emails, you summarize documents, you prepare reports, you analyze information, you make small decisions. None of these tasks seem unusual. They feel like normal parts of the job. Now look at each of them individually. AI can draft emails. It can summarize documents. It can generate reports. It can analyze data and suggest decisions. Not perfectly, but often well enough. This is where the shift becomes difficult to see. AI does not replace jobs all at once. It replaces tasks, one small piece at a time. Each task feels minor, but together they make up a significant part of the job. Imagine an employee who spends 2 hours a day writing and editing, another hour summarizing information, another hour preparing structured outputs. If those tasks become partially automated, the total workload changes. Not dramatically at first, but enough to matter. This pattern is already visible in many workplaces. Teams use AI tools to draft content, generate ideas, clean data, and produce first versions of work. The human role often becomes reviewing, adjusting, and approving. The work still happens, but the effort shifts. At first, this looks like productivity. Tasks take less time. Output increases. Work feels easier. And in many cases, that is exactly what is happening. But there is a second layer. If the same amount of work requires less effort, something has to adjust. Either expectations increase, or the number of people needed decreases. This is why the change can feel invisible. No task disappears completely. Each one becomes faster. Each one requires less input. The job still exists, but parts of it quietly shrink. There is a common assumption that job replacement will be obvious. A role disappears, a system takes over, people are replaced. But that model fits physical automation better than knowledge work. White-collar jobs are built from many small tasks. AI targets those tasks individually. It does not need to replace the entire role to change it. There is a reasonable counterargument. Some argue that automation simply frees up time. If tasks become easier, people can focus on higher-level work, strategy, creativity, decision-making. And in some cases, this is true. Roles evolve, new responsibilities appear, but this depends on how organizations respond. If efficiency gains are used to increase output rather than redefine roles, the workload shifts rather than expands. More gets done with the same or fewer people. Another important factor is perception. When tasks are automated gradually, the change feels small, saving 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. Each improvement seems helpful, but over weeks and months, those savings accumulate. What used to require a full day might now take a few hours. This creates a measurement problem. People often think in terms of jobs. Am I replaceable or not? But the real unit of change is the task. How much of what you do can be automated? If the answer is 10%, the impact is limited. If it is 30%, the structure of the role begins to change. If it reaches 50%, the role may be redefined entirely. This is not uniform across all jobs. Tasks that are structured, repeatable, and based on clear patterns are easier to automate. Tasks that depend on context, judgment, or unpredictable situations are harder. Most roles include a mix of both, which means most roles are partially automatable. There is also a timing effect. Some organizations adopt these tools quickly, others move more slowly, but as tools improve and become easier to use, adoption tends to spread. What begins as an advantage becomes a standard, and once it becomes standard, expectations adjust. Second-order effects can follow. If everyone can complete tasks faster, the baseline shifts. Producing one report is no longer enough. Producing 5 becomes normal. The role expands in output, even as the effort per task decreases. At the same time, entry-level tasks may be affected first. These are often the most structured and repeatable parts of a job. If those tasks are automated, the path for learning and skill development may change. Experience is built differently, and sometimes more slowly. None of this means your job disappears tomorrow. In many cases, it will continue to exist. But it may not look the same. The balance of tasks changes. The effort required changes. The expectations change. The important shift is not whether a job is replaced. It is how much of it is already different. Because replacement does not always happen in a single step, it happens gradually, task by task. So the question is not just, is my job safe? It is how much of what I do is already optional, because that is where the change begins. And often it has already started.